Just getting things set up here. Making sure everything is running smoothly. How are ya? I'm good, I'm good. I'm actually trying to get on earlier in the day here in Seattle, and that way it's a better time for you guys in the UK. I've been looking to see if you're streaming yet. Anything coming up? Trying to hide some cables. Yeah, we'll see how I feel today. I keep getting a cramp. I did a little bit of foam roller work to see if that would help. Test, test. Hello. So I'm listening to the stream. I can hear when the mic does that. And I'm not sure if it's something on my side, like software side, or if it has to do with the internet that I'm using. We'll make a few changes on the fly. So I think it has to do with the way I have my internet set up. I noticed the last stream that I did, the mic started to sound bad, and the stream got split exactly when that happened. So I think the internet starts to dip. So I have 3 huge fans. I've got a big mic in front of me with a cover on it. And it's cold in here right now. I'm watching, I'm trying to figure it out. What's nice is I can open the window and get it pretty cold in here quickly. So the music comes through fine. So maybe it has to do with other issues going on. Because the music doesn't gargle, it's just my my voice. Thank you, Ashley. So I'm gonna do what I did last time and start unplugging stuff. We'll see if I can fix this. So the game does support VR, but only if you work at headquarters. They won't release it because the VR goggles, they don't have circulation, and so they fill up with sweat and they stop working. I went through that for a while. I have some photos. Maybe it's on my Facebook, maybe it's on Katie's. I have long hair. And I showed my hair cutter last time I was there. And she said, oh, it's just the, you know, high school stuff. And I was like, oh, it wasn't high school. I said, this was recent. But I go and, I get my haircut every now and then, and I'd let it grow out every time, in between. I'd wait like a few months. Oh no, I don't have a towel. The only reason why I need a towel is because of the hair product. I've tried a few. When I was in high school, I think it was Ice Spiker that was popular. And it says water resistant. It's not. And I'm trying to find products that don't burn my eyes like a couple hours into the ride. I'll work on that. Give me some time to grow it out. Hats don't work well for me. Like Katie got the cycling cap. When I try it on, I look pretty goofy. I'm trying to avoid that. So I'm watching the stream, and I wonder if there's a delay in audio. Yeah. Okay. So I'm using Reaper as a standalone for audio, and I believe it adds quite a bit of delay. Welcome back. So Zach, did you do the ride this morning with tonight for you with Nathan like an hour ago? What's wrong with the mullet look, Ashley? So I assume You changed your name to Mr. Spreadsheet. So is that you in Nathan's video? The like super high RPM, top of the mountain, coming across? Haha, nice. I gotta add you to my spreadsheet. So do you use Excel or OpenOffice Pro? Do you use? Excel. So I got hooked on OpenOffice because it was free, and I have it's Joe Friel's training plan programmed into there. I used to just kind of store my information and switch things, but it's very much, you know, if this then that. So now I can just click base build race, and it builds the entire training plan for me, divides the hours. It'll reorganize based on races. So I'm in erg mode. If I pedal harder, I'm not shifting, it's gonna bring the power down. So in the kicker, I have it set up to not smooth it. Previously, I was seeing just a straight line, and I'd rather see the peaks. So with the spreadsheet, each day I get a drop-down list of workouts for that day, and I can select it, and then it programs that day. This is what you need to do. So I get control. And I didn't know previously that you could work with text in Excel as formulas. I have it set up now. It knows if it's a Washington race, Oregon race, California race, and it does adjust training. Like, it'll know if I'm going down to California, it needs to, like before the race, give me travel time. And I want to be able to program it to where I can input average time for a race. And that way, if I have a heavy day, thank you, it'll put the heavier day on race day, unless my races are super short, then it'll put the heavy day earlier in the week. You know, like right now it defaults to the hardest days of the week. If there's a race, is going to be the race. But if I'm training like 20 hours a week, it's going to take that heaviest day and put it on race day instead. And it needs to know if it should be earlier in the week. Yeah. So Joe Friel has a new training Bible coming out. Ashley, take care. And it was supposed to be out like around this time because it's time to train, time to train for races for next year. And it's now set for late winter. So Zach, what time is it for you right now? Okay, good. Yeah, so I was streaming later in the day, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because if I have all day, I'll wait until the end of the day. But I need to be on it. Like, I need to be getting on the bike at a certain time. And that's good training for races. Because I can't push off the start time of a race. Yeah, 12:40. So what I really like about this is I have my Power Peanut. I can see my pedal stroke live, and I've never been able to watch that before, so I can see. Casey, how are ya? I like that I can see my Power Peanut. One thing that worries me is Shane Miller and DC Rainmaker tested it inside, and they were getting lower power numbers. Like 20 watts. So I worry about that. So, the pedal peanut, I'm going to unclip one leg. And you can see there's a circle on screen, and it's off to one side. One side. So you can see me clip in, and now it's the other side. So it's the force that I'm putting on the pedals live, and I can tell. There we go. I can tell if I'm pedaling in circles. Like now, it's a nice circle. But if it looks more like a peanut, that's my dead spots. So what's neat is you can actually see when I get out of the saddle. Like right now, the peanut is flat. And I'm not changing the power. But the peanut shifts forward. So this is the rotor twin power. It's a two-sided power meter. And on Windows, there's software that you can use. If you wanted to use the Q rings, you can set it up based on where you apply power to the pedals. So the problem I had with Q rings is, okay, I have it set up. It's Rotor's own software. So you can see I can set up the Q rings based off of this pedal stroke. But as I get out of the saddle, I'm applying power later in the phase. So it bugs me thinking it's not always set up correctly. Do I set it up for climbing? Do I set it up for sprinting? So I have round rings. Yeah, correct. So I had the Q rings like 10 years ago, and you're supposed to just try like setting number 3, maybe move it to 4, maybe move it to 2, and I didn't like the kind of the guesswork, because you can ride with it completely opposite, like increasing your dead zones, and get used to that. The shifting is a headache. So maybe if it was a single chainring, so I could tell you as far as trying to figure it out just based off of feel. I showed up to a group ride once after working on my bike, and I had the Campy cranks with a Hearth joint, and I clipped in, and the first pedal stroke, something was wrong, and I pedaled again, and I found out my cranks were offset, so they weren't straight up and down, and I was, do I go home? You know, I just drove out here to do this group ride. Do I ride like this? I mean, I'm clipping in last second, group is rolling out. So, 50-mile group ride. Halfway point passes by my home, and I know a shortcut to get there quicker. So the plan was, we'll see how I do. I can turn around early, or I can try and race if I sit in to fix it. And I managed, got home, fixed it, pulled the cranks off, put them back on, and didn't have time to check. I know they're coming by soon. And did it. So I was worried, like, oh my gosh, I adjusted it, but I did it one click opposite. Got off the bike, I was looking at it, and the cranks are straight, like they're aligned, they're as they should be. But in an hour, my body adjusted to finding the offset cranks normal. So, to try and take a Q ring 10 years ago, no software, and feel one click back, one click forward, and tell a difference. The only difference I could tell is my chain would drop or not shift. So now we have software, and you can see exactly where you put the power out. So now I can set up the Q rings based off of my dead zones. But guess what? Most important part of a race is going to be the sprint. And now my dead zone has shifted. So I took them off. You can get used to some pretty funky setups. So I don't think that you'd be able to tell the difference between a slight oval. So I did a RAGBRAI, I think it was 11 years ago, with my wife. And she rode the first day. Like, did okay, hadn't really been riding. And then the next day, she was like, oh, I'm feeling fine this morning. I'll ride, even though I felt really sore yesterday. And 5 minutes in, she was like, nope. So I'm in Seattle. So with RAGBRAI, I pushed her 25 miles up and down rolling hills at an easy pace to a sag stop that would take her to the finish that day. And then I was free. I could go as hard as I wanted to. And I couldn't. My legs were stuck at that easy pace. And it took a while, too long, to be able to pedal hard again. So I am going to pause the workout just a second, grab a towel. I always forget a towel. And I'll be back in like 10 seconds. So it rains here quite a bit in Seattle, and I found out if I have hair gel in the rain, it burns my eyes. And I was trying to get it out on this one group ride, and I was telling one of the riders, I was like, I can't see, like I'm having troubles here. And he had no hair, and he said, no sympathy from me. Okay. Yeah. So I've been trying different hair products, just trying to see what stays and what doesn't come to my face. And some of them burned less than others. So Casey just has to worry about whatever he uses on his mustache, not eating that product the whole ride. I love that mustache. I think it's been like a month and a half. I was talking with Ashley Zuzkana and Nathan, and like we don't have home internet, and Nathan was saying you only need like 2-3 megabytes per second. Yeah. And we have that on mobile internet. So we got the camera. I did that bicycling race ride, group ride in September, and it was like 5 a.m., 6 a.m. here, and it's pretty dark. So now we have lights, we have a mic, and we're having a lot of fun with it. We got the whole fan set up. 3 20-inch fans. So for the most part, I don't need a towel, even if I'm doing like a long, steady interval. I think a lot of people have not enough fans. Poor circulation. Every time I've bought a fan, my FGP has gone up. Rogers, you're crazy. So what temperature is it for you, Rogers? So the way I view it is I can train indoors, I can turn off all the fans, and I'm gonna start sweating right away. And I don't normally sweat. Not when I'm outside. And my power's gonna come down. And I'm no longer training my muscles. Like, I'm training being able to handle heat. So I think it was Coach Hendy who was talking about training with oxygen and being able to put out more power. So you're able to push your muscles harder with oxygen. So with no fans or only a small fan, it's going to be a struggle, and you're struggling just for your body to get the heat off. I did a time trial FTP test years ago, and I thought my fan, this isn't even on, I thought my fan, I thought this was a strong fan. And my FTP test, I was at 187 beats per minute. And I was putting out 200 watts at that heart rate. Katie, how are you? So this fan is, it pushes like 250 cubic feet of air per minute. the 20-inch fans, 3 of them, it's 6,000 each. So 18,000 feet of air. This one back here is now the draft fan. More fans, more power. I'm looking at the 3 and I'm thinking, oh, I have room for another one. I mean, I got 5 buttons on the remote. I can hook all 3 up to 1 button. So I have unlimited power. I'm just worried about tripping a breaker. Yeah. I'd like to see the glasses inside. I mean, do you stream the glasses on if you're doing a race? All right. So, if you watch GCN when they're showing off Zwift, they have one of those, like, tiny black vortex fans. And that puts out less air than this blower. I have a tiny towel, and I'm going to dab. They have their beach towel over the handlebars, and they are bright red, doing endurance, just dripping in sweat. So a lot of people on Zwift riders talk about, what do you do to keep your bars from corroding? And I think they worry about that because they're dripping all over the bike. And for me, that doesn't happen. Like, I see pool noodles duct taped around the bars and a towel on top. And, you know, it's one way to fix the situation. Yeah. You know, people are wrapping their bars in duct tape after putting Teflon chain lube on it. Shane Miller video. And using silicone bar tape. Let me see if I can pick up this fan. So, I have 3 of these. The one directly in front of me is face, chest. The one on my left is kind of chest and hips. And the one on my right is hips and legs. And then I still have this to hit the low back. Oh. I haven't had like any corrosion issues, but people definitely sweat differently. I think the answer is always more fans. So I have a question for you then. Because I have a deep carbon wheel on the front of the bike for aerodynamic reasons. Because if I put a box rim on, it's gonna slow down that air. I'm faster with it on. I get better airflow. So I used to have 2 box fans behind me, so the air wouldn't pass over me and then just stop at the wall, and then stall, to help blow it around the room. And then the opposite corner blows cold AC into the front fans. So I'm building a wind tunnel. If I were to have like an ultimate setup for riding indoors, I wouldn't have any fans in front of me. I would be in a hallway with a hallway next to me, and the fans would be in the hallway next to me and would sweep around, blowing past me, and then circulate back through the fans, just so I had a wind tunnel. So a small room with a divider wall. So I can open the window now that it's getting colder here in Seattle, and it went from like 75 down to 61 pretty quickly. So I'm not sure what the humidity is supposed to be. Like, I have the little temperature gauge, and I can see when I'm riding it goes up a little bit. And I can see I make it go up. And thinking about it, you're putting sweat in the air and breathing that. A nice thought when guests are over. Crazy, crazy. So when I did my my FTP test years ago indoors with a little fan, I came to the conclusion that my heart rate was through the roof because my body was just trying to circulate blood to work with temperature. And so instead of trying to put power into the muscles, it's trying to survive. So I was telling people, like, don't train indoors. Like, before Zwift, what am I supposed to do? Like, be in a room staring at a wall. And now, like, there's a community in here. People who look forward to a group ride on the weekend can find that every time they clip into Zwift. We've got weekend warriors training consistently because they can be a warrior every day. Zwift is changing cycling. Zach, what was your heart rate for that effort? Yeah. Does odd that threshold's like 177? Because I have a similar max, and threshold is 187. I'm learning a lot about other people's heart rate through Zwift. I mean, I assumed that everyone had a similar like heart rate, and the older you got, the lower it would be each year. But I've been 200 for the last 10 years, and then I see people who have like a max of 160. I've never been over 200. Like I rarely see 200. So like last week, I was at 190. I was at 190 for 30 minutes. I had the fans on medium. I was trying to make what the mic picked up a little bit better. I should have trying to make the audio clearer. I had a friend who, like, his heart rate was 230. And I think he was like 300 pounds. And this was in Florida. And he was a strong cyclist. And we could do a 3-hour ride and maybe get like 80 feet of elevation. So the weight didn't hurt him. So I think this is the, is this the backside of the climb? I'm not in London very much. All right. So it's one side called Fox Hill, and the other side Box Hill. Okay. So I have 3 plugs on OBS, and I have Reaper and a virtual cable. And I have to get all the fan noise out. The one fan is hitting me right in the face, and the mic is right here. So I might switch back to the Reaper plugins for OBS, just because having Reaper adds another step. And what I'm doing in Reaper is the same Reaper compression and gate in OBS. And Reaper is now adding a delay, and I have to use a virtual cable. But for Halloween, I could do a demon voice. But besides that, I'll probably just switch back to the plugins. Yeah. So I had Katie in chat, my wife, using my background noise eliminator with the fans on high. And she puts them on medium or low. So I made another filter just with her setup. And sounds a lot better. It was sounding tinny for her. Like more so than mine. Yeah. So the only time I can hear my kicker is at the tail end of a sprint. Katie, you gotta work on a deeper voice. So I don't know anything about audio, and it's been a lot of like YouTube videos and playing around and doing private live streams just so I can listen to it. And having the background music helps cover up like a little bit that isn't taken out. So I have Streamlabs.com. So this is YouTube, Mixer, and Twitch. Doesn't always work. So I have Restream.io app above my head that I can see if I don't see it in the overlay. It's a lot of trial and error. The Restream does the view count below, and where the green balloon is right now, if someone subscribes, posts, follows, it should pop up. Yeah. If this continues to work, I'll leave it. Like right now I use Restream as a backup. One of the problems I had at first was eating on the bike, and I'd let go and the the gel would fly away because of the wind tunnel. I wouldn't let go. I'd be holding on, and I'd watch it disappear. So I want some double-sided tape just so I can stick stuff down and it's not going to get sucked into the fan. So what's nice is I can watch my pedal stroke and see in the intervals, am I trying to hammer through it, getting a peanut shape? Oh, welcome back. Or am I still pedaling efficiently? So even if I had it on the Garmin, I wouldn't be able to pay attention to that out on the road. It's another point of distraction. Something to help the interval go by. I can see when I chop the pedal stroke, it does some funky stuff. I want to keep going straight down this road. More roads. I want to get lost in London. So even though I know I'm in erg mode, I feel these stairs every time. So they're up here. Yeah, that's where it's programmed. So I was doing, yeah. It's a lot easier for me to go up the mountain and put power to the bike. It starts to go down, and I start to tuck and get aero. It hurts. It hurts more going downhill. I feel like I'm pedaling in the wind. Yeah. So the end of intervals, when I see the gate, I start to think, oh, I just have to hang on to that gate. And it gets tough. You know, I'll do long 15-minute blocks back to back. And when I see the end coming, even though I'm not close to the end, I'm hanging on. Then I get to the the start of the next 15-minute block. Immediately after, and oh, okay, I'm back to endurance pace. I gotta hold this. Power didn't change. So when you say Casey, I think of Ashley's Casey. Zuzkana Casey has this awesome mustache. Handlebar mustache. And that's what I was talking about before. Yeah. So you don't have a handlebar mustache. Maybe a Fu Manchu one day, but not right now. Oh yeah. So I took off my my little chain ring after doing a lot of group rides outside and races, and realizing I don't need it. You know, we keep the speed so high that I never need to shift down. So I have the excuse now on a group ride, when it gets easy, I can't shift, I'm gonna have to just keep the pace high, guys, sorry. I mean, a few years back, I was doing, like, I could have rode with the team, but I didn't want to, I wanted to focus on my own training, and, you know, people were going hard, and I didn't want to go hard. I could, you know, I could do what I wanted to do and not. Thank you, Scott. So if I go outside now for a group ride, I'm going outside because I want to go hard. So no little chain ring. The Zwift was a little bit. There's a KOM that I took here from a pro, and it's a short, steep climb, and I didn't need a little chain ring, and that's the biggest hill I can think of. So I could also put a bigger cassette on, like at 1 extra gear, and go up it easy. So, for me, like, I didn't want to be on Strava because I didn't want to know where I would be on the leaderboard. But as soon as I got on, I got hooked because it's all about power to weight. And we have a lot of short little climbs here, and it works well for me. So I have a spreadsheet of segments in the area, people's weight, power, the gradient direction of the segment, so I can open up the wind chart for the day. And I was doing that like a year or so ago because so you don't even know how many nights I've stayed up till 5 a.m. on working on formulas for a training plan to automate an entire season peak based on group rides, races, and it reorganizes itself. So you can ask Katie. So if you know of the Joe Friel's training Bible, you know, you open up the chart, find out how many hours you want to do, divide hours into weeks, and then weeks across days based on the if it's base, build, peak, race. And it works really well for Excel. On paper, if you want to make any changes, you know, if you find out months into the plan that it's you can't ride that many hours because of work. On Excel, all I have to do is select the week, what I'm doing, meaning base 1, 2, 3, and everything programs itself based on upcoming races that I have. And it's text sensitive, so if it knows that I'm, you know, I live in Seattle, if it knows I'm going down to California, it gives me a day of traveling easy. And it reorganizes that training to other days. Thank you, Katie. I love that dude rocking out. So the spreadsheet gives me all my workout options for each day, like a drop-down list on each day, and I can pick what I want to do. And I recently added another sheet that it pulls from. So if it sees I'm doing like a tempo ride, it'll tell me how many days has it been since I did tempo, and what did that day look like? What was my power? How long was I in the zone for? So I know I'm continually building, and there's less that I have to kind of figure out last minute. I don't have to search. You know, it's gonna tell me. So I wanted the spreadsheet to work, not just for my schedule, but if someone else were to use it. Like, I can ride almost 5 hours a day if I need to. But some people have restrictions. And so there's another sheet working in the background to where you can, on the original sheet, say, I can only ride this many hours, this many hours, this many hours. And you have the option for the spreadsheet to tell you the numbers that you selected, hours in a year, are more than you say you can do, hour-wise. And it has the option to just warn you, or to take the hours and spread it across the week. Casey, thanks for hanging out. I was telling people thanks for chatting me up, but Katie's a writer. She told me probably don't need to be a writer to know, but I didn't know. Chatting me up is to talk to someone typically you don't know because you're attracted to them. So I stopped saying that. Now I just say thank you. Yeah, Katie saved me on that one. I was all smug, like, yeah, of course I know what it means. Let's Google it together. And as we read through, I was like, yeah, see? And the last line was, I held my head in shame. So that never happened. We don't talk about it anymore. So, are you refreshing because Mixer cuts out? I'm watching the stream on YouTube through the headset, just to make sure. So I've seen it cut out, like watching Nathan's stream. Okay. So it probably doesn't help with the Zwift having server issues at the same time. Trying to figure out if it's your side or their side. But they're hitting record numbers. So I keep checking the stream software, OBS, just to make sure I'm not dropping too many frames. A few here and there. I'm running this on mobile internet, so I'm pretty happy when I rewatch the stream and everything's stable. So I got the little kiss stripes on here. Matches my my kit, just noticed. So, are you still working on that spreadsheet? Is that something that you do all the time, or is it something that you did once? I think if you were to keep up with it this year, it's going to be exponentially difficult. So I wish there was like a bit of overlap before people jumped into A's. You know, if you notice, like, these intervals for me, I'm just under 5 watts. Like, 5 watts for me, 4 watts, you know, I'm in endurance. So if someone's hanging on to a B group, dying, and they hit 4 watts, like that's me chit-chatting here. And so I worry that if someone's gonna hop up, that it's either an A group or B group. And I think there needs to be like an intermediate, some races that don't allow people who can do over 5 watts, and it's maybe 3.5 to 4.5. And you would have people who aren't sandbagging. They're not worried about that 4 watt limit in an event like that. Then they can get called out when they're doing like 4.2 in that kind of race. Not to be in the B's anymore. So maybe it can be a part of Zwift that you have your FTP, and the races aren't a set A, B, C, D group. And Zwift can show you races that you can ride in based off your FTP, off your previous performances. And they'll sometimes be a little bit higher than a B race, a little bit lower than an A, higher than a C, just kind of a variety. So people who are on that limit, it's not black and white of form the group, back of the group. So I'm going to read this because it got cut off. It's innovation only, and so Kyle asked me to do it on the 1st of July after I had a go at their marketing and a few people argued about them sandbagging, so I did it the first lot, and the rest is up here. Yeah, okay. Since there are category limits, and it's a set, you know, A, B, like split, people want to either be below that A or be strong enough to be competitive in the A's. And so there needs to be halfway groups. So you don't have people sandbagging in a B plus race, and you can see what people can actually do. You know, you'll get riders who want to be on the back of a fast group. I had someone that I know in real life get into Zwift, and he kept getting like 3.8, 3.9 watts per kilogram. And he was getting dropped from the A's. And I told him, you know, you can race in the B's with that power, but you also have the option to race in the A's. And it's up to you. And he said, thanks, I'm gonna race in the A's. So there's people out there like that. Jim, how are ya? Yeah, there needs to be C plus races. So you're always in the, you know, you have the option to be in the middle of a group if you want to. Or you can choose at that level to be at the bottom of B's. January 17th. There's a special date in my life. That was when we got the Wahoo kicker. Yeah. So, like right now, everything's hands off. Zwift just allows people to have races, and there happens to be Zwift power to try and bring some sort of sanity and order. That's good to hear. You know, there's days to where I would want to work on tactics and So last stream I said I'm gonna fix this as soon as I get off the bike. I set high goals for myself. So they are determined by the race organizers. Some categories are different, but for the most part it's A, B, C, D. And that's if you read the description on Zwift events or on your phone. And you can join races like from Zwift itself and not know anything about the event, what the categories mean. Alright, good to know. So, Zwift started the race modules, and then has been hands-off since. So I heard about the early racing, and Nathan would put his avatar like right on the start-finish line, get the camera just right, and it was a free ride race, and people would post screenshots of the finish line later and try and determine who the winner was. So it sounds like a Wild Wild West free-for-all. Haha. So Jim, do you know, since I'm using a Note 4, if I would get a better connection with a different phone, with a better antenna? Because I did hear T-Mobile, was pushing out a stronger like LTE, something that would go through buildings better. And this phone happened to have one of the approved antennas. So am I behind the curve now? So I have a Selfie tower in the home. And it doesn't seem to matter if I turn it on, turn it off. But before I had no reception. Like, I'm not too far from the window, but right here I had no reception before. But that was a year or so ago. Maybe 600 megahertz? I don't know. I was trying to look into it. Okay, yeah. So I got the 600 from what you said previously, and then I tried to look into the antenna the Note 4 had, and I think I couldn't find any information. So I searched radio, and what pops up in Google is, does the Note 4 have an FM radio apps? And I was trying to dig through those results. Yeah, like the results that were coming up was people asking about, can I listen to the radio? And I was like, no, I want to know about the radio in the hardware. Yeah. So searching for Note 4 antenna, I find those gold antenna stickers you put under the battery. Okay, I will do that. And when I say I'm gonna do that, I don't mean when I say like I'm gonna fix my my goal on Zwift to more than 33 miles. The goal isn't on my mind when I get off. So the stream is always on my mind, and I would definitely Google this afterwards. What did you find? Okay. So what does that mean compared to the newer phones that are out? And can I check the frequency with an app on the phone to see what the towers are nearby? Yeah. I definitely had some like snooper apps that would let me know about towers in the area, Wi-Fi information, you know, which devices were looking for Wi-Fi in the area. But I don't remember if it told me about towers frequency. Are you looking to buy a new phone? Is the Pixel 2 for sale? Because I'll sell Katie's kicker. Now, does that have the bigger screen? Is that the kind of similar to these phablets that we have? Oh, good, okay. So what internet speeds... What internet speeds are you getting? Okay. So here comes the Stargate. I just realized I need to line up my food, make sure I can not go cross-eyed. I think I have like 50 more minutes. What? What are you talking about? That's your mobile internet. I need the Ron Swanson GIF. I don't believe you. That's crazy. So now that's your cell phone tethered to your computer? Okay. Oh man, I want to know what I can get here then. Because I get like 10 to 30 up and 5 to 10, sorry, 10 to 30 download, 5 to 10, but on Google speed test, it's 10 to 12 download, 2 megabytes upload. So I have a feeling we're gonna watch my heart rate go up through this. Only because I'm thinking about internet speeds. So inside of work, I don't get good speeds in the building, but I'll check in the parking lot. Now, do you think you get those speeds because you work for T-Mobile? I mean, that's almost more than what I can get if I paid for Comcast. Like $100-something a month. All right. I'm not sure about that. I mean, it's pretty consistent here. And like work, it has a business line with Comcast. Oh, we have a lot of issues.
Perfect.
I hope so. Hey, I'll help you test them. We can put a T-Mobile logo down here. I'm in Seattle. I promise I won't leave the phone in a bar like they do over at Apple. How far is Overlake from here? So I'm a massage therapist. I work with my hands. I don't mind switching to working with T-Mobile and handsets instead. Okay. Yeah. So have you tried Peloton? Yeah. So what is it GE Tour? What is that? Get RC, okay. Get RCEO. Yeah, you can buy a cheap bike and a Wahoo kicker and then take that bike outside. So do you know him personally? Haha. So does he ride already? I mean, he's in Seattle. He's got to have a bike, right? Huh. You'll have more time to live if you exercise. Okay. Indoors only. I've been told that exercising indoors doesn't count. I disagree. Huh. Okay. Huh. So I am so much stronger now when I go outdoors because I can do this effort without thinking about it. And then this effort feels easier outside. Yeah. Zwift is changing cycling. Do you have the disc wheel? Is Philip here in Seattle? So, John Mayfield said they're bringing the disc wheel back for everyone sometime this year. Fingers crossed, I want it. Okay. Okay. So you could stream, he could watch you suffer live. Yeah. He's a powerhouse. Busy suffering. So how's his sprint? Or is he all motor? With no high-end revs? Yeah. Yeah, to have that high FTP, you know, if you just aim for that, you sacrifice your sprint. Yeah, the sprint muscles start to support endurance. Yeah. So a lot of races outside, it's hard to get away. And you have to break away in a pack. In a small group. You know, if one rider goes off the front outside, group doesn't let him get away. And that was happening in Zwift. So I think that was unrealistic. You know, outside you need to attack over and over and over again until you get a break. And they don't just form because of a small kicker that someone pushed up. So I think it's more realistic now. Ashley, thank you. Thanks. Yeah. One rider getting a small gap and then riding away, and that doesn't happen outside. Here, the group works together. Yeah. So I raced this year with someone who was 125 pounds, and he didn't put out much power, but on the flats, he was still faster than me. And so, I'm not sure about, like before I thought it was more power is important on the flats, but you know, his numbers blew my mind. It definitely needs tweaking. I'm 140 pounds. FGP right now is set to 350. So I would sit at that, on this guy's wheel, this kid's wheel, and I would have to do 300 watts to stay on his wheel, and he would get on my wheel and sit at 200 watts. So if I were to see that in game, I would say, oh, it's off, like the algorithm's way off. But it blew my mind outside, and I was wondering, like, is my power meter off? Like, what's going on? So, if a rider is at the same watts per kilogram, but putting out more power on the flats, they should be able to get away from me, I feel like. But I don't think that's the case in Zwift. I think it's mainly watts per kilogram. They do favor higher numbers, slightly. Now I can tell you I was on the jungle route the other day, and I saw a friend up the road, and it's a slight downhill, 3-4% to the finish, and I was at double his watts per kilogram, and I think he's double my weight, and he was pulling away. Now, as soon as we went on the 4% uphill, like, I had the benefit. So if I were to race on that course, the jungle route, I could go cross-eyed up that climb, the incline, and I know I would get caught before the finish. And that's a good course design. Yeah. Okay, so the other day I was having the voice issues, gargling, and I was thinking about it. If you listen to the music doesn't gargle, but the mic was. So it would have to be something on the computer side, right, with the software? Yeah, so that would make me think it's computer side if it's just the voice and not the music, because they're playing separately. However, when the voice was gargling, YouTube dropped connection at that exact time and started a new video. And that tells me it's internet issues. So I'm not sure. The new video is me listening to the mic. Test, test, hello. So I can duplicate the audio setup directly in the Stream software rather than using the standalone audio. And I'll see if that solves any issues. I kind of like having things to play with, even if it's solving issues. Troubleshooting's fun. If you can find the answer. So I guess thinking about it, it's fun if you have possibilities in your head that you want to try. Maybe this will fix it, maybe this will fix it. When you run out of possibilities, this stops being fun. I'm still having fun. Yeah. So I changed the encoder setting just a little bit, so it's not as hard on the CPU. But there was a little bit of gargle at the beginning of this anyways. We'll see. So your home internet is T-Mobile, you said, right? Okay, yeah. So I have a Note 2 as well, and I tried that to see if it changed anything. I think that phone was on the approved, like, stronger LTE T-Mobile band. I think so. So are you riding later today? You're gonna hop into Watopia? They might be changing over tonight. They have some company. However, you can see from the rider list, Zwift is okay. Zwift is having server issues. Two hours today? I keep thinking about that motor. The 275 watts, he said? Oh, that's awesome. Okay. I'm trying to be better about yeah, about longer efforts. So, endurance and a little bit of tempo today, rather than riding as hard as I can for 30 minutes and getting off the bike. They do. So, if you're riding at 300 watts, 5 watts isn't bad. But Katie, you know, her recovery was like 60 watts. With the FTP set at like 100. And I think that was still endurance for her. Correct. I was looking at the log files, and even though it was holding her at, it was asking her, like, do 75 watts. And we were confused why the number said 72. And it would tell her pedal harder. And she's in erg mode. So I checked through the log. And that's what Zwift is asking the kicker to do. Yeah. So, as someone new to Zwift, it was confusing. And she wasn't sure what she was doing wrong. But she's in workout, and she keeps being told, pedal harder, and it's in erg mode. Yeah. FTP set to 100. It's a 5% difference. It's the difference between recovery and endurance, or being just below threshold or just above. Yeah. But Zwift doesn't explain that. And I want to be able to tell people about Zwift, get them set up to the smart trainer and be hands off. They need a tutorial. I'm back. I could see the stream went to 0. Yeah. A lot of people have tips and articles everywhere. I just learned I can use tab to skip intervals. Page up, page down to increase the FTP. It should. Yeah, definitely. That would be very helpful. I skipped it on accident. And it's a long interval. And if I'm in the middle, I can't start back in the middle. So I love that Zwift has updates every month. Little quality of life things that they fix. So, fingers crossed. We'll get that one day. Hopefully the stream will stay up. Almost done here. I've got the phone wrapped in aluminum foil. Does that help? Yeah. So it's the internet on my side that's dropping. Almost done here, about to get into the cooldown. My area needs to be a priority for tower upgrade. Okay. Will do. Thank you. So, like, my speed upload is barely at 2, sometimes above, sometimes under. So any fluctuation, and it struggles. So I'll look into if upgrading a phone would change anything. The what wasn't an internet stutter. That was me trying to get words out of my mouth. Yeah, that would be awesome. I would get a new phone in a heartbeat if it meant having a stable internet connection. I am off Friday, Saturday, Sundays every week. That's awesome. I'm gonna see if I can turn around in Zwift. I always seem to finish uphill. Now that's something you can't do in Richmond. So in Watopia, if you look for someone on the rider list who's, I think like, was it 9.2 miles in, you'll end up at the radio tower if they're going at a slow average speed. So you can start every single ride warming up at like 40, 50 miles an hour. I have a friend who lives on, I think it's the top of Juanita, and they start every ride at the start of the hill, and they'll end their Strava ride at the bottom, and have a new ride cooling down up the hill. Yeah, if their average speed is really low, I think it's 9.2 miles, and it's a safe bet that they're at the radio tower. So when I was working towards the Tron bike, I would hop in every time just to do repeats, starting at the radio tower. Yeah. Like, I'm on the top of a hill, and when Katie wants to go ride at Log Boom, it would take her 10 minutes to leave and get to Log Boom. It takes me, on the bike, 10 minutes to get down. So, I'm not pedaling, I'm just kind of coasting. Which, if it's rainy and cold, and I'm telling Katie, it's the same as me being on top of the roof rack on the car, dressed like this. So when I was going outside, I would have to dress miserable at the start of the ride to be warm once I got to the trail. So I'm actually going to end the workout here. I gotta hop off and head to work, and I don't mind cutting the cool down a little bit short. Jim, thank you so much. I'm going to send you an email. Hopefully we can figure out what's going on my side. Yeah, cold and wet. It's sunny in here. I think it's 30 something right now outside, so I'm happy to be where I am. Awesome, thank you so much. Yeah, hopefully my hotkey works and I can sign out and say goodbye. Jim, I'll see you around. Thank you.